Good morning, good afternoon, eighth graders. Nice to have you here. My name is Mrs. Scotton. I've met some of you, not all of you. I'm one of the teachers that's going to be doing these video lessons, and I'm doing this one today. By now, you've had a chance to think about cheating and perhaps had a discussion with your class about what cheating is. Another word for cheating is plagiarism, and it's a big no-no. So we're going to just do a little mini lesson on that and make sure that we don't do that this year because there's a lot of severe consequences. So the actual definition is that plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, images, sounds, or the creative expression of other people as your own without citing the sources. How serious is the problem? Well, a study of almost 4,500 students at 25 schools suggests that cheating is a significant problem in high school. 74% of the respondents admitted to one or more instances of serious test cheating, and 72% admitted to serious cheating on written assignments. Over half of the students admitted they have engaged in some level of plagiarism on written assignments using the internet. This is based on a study done in 2003. Do you think it's more or less now that we have so much access to the internet? Here's some more recent information. In a survey of 24,000 students at 70 schools, Donald McCabe, Rutgers University, found that 64% of students admitted to cheating on a test, 58% admitted to plagiarism, and 95% said they participated in some form of cheating, whether it was on a test, plagiarism, or copying homework. That's a lot of people. So if you have included the words and ideas of others in your work that you neglected to cite, you know that little thing in the parentheses, if you have ever had help you wouldn't want your teacher to know about, then you have probably plagiarized. There are two types of plagiarism. Intentional, doing it on purpose. That's when you copy a friend's work, including their study guide. You buy or borrow somebody else's paper so you can copy it. If you cut and paste from the internet, if you borrow media without documentation, and web publishing without permission of the creators. A lot of times with kids your age, it's unintentional. You don't do it on purpose, but you paraphrase carelessly and you don't cite your source, or you don't have the right documentation, or you use too many quotes so we don't hear your voice in your writing. There's so many excuses. This assignment was boring. It's okay if I don't get caught, right? I was too busy to write that paper. Job, big game, too much homework, so many excuses. My teachers expect too much. No, we don't. I've got to get into the university. Everyone does it. My parents expect A's. All of these excuses. It's really not hard to do it right. So this is a rationale for academic integrity. What does that mean? It's reasons for doing the right thing, for doing your own work and not copying. Like, we have to actually tell you why. If you've heard some of this stuff before, when you copy, you cheat yourself out of the learning. The consequences aren't worth the risk, which we're going to show you in a second. It's only right to give credit to authors whose ideas you use. Citing gives authority to the information you present. What I mean by that is that if you are, say you're writing a history paper and somebody makes a really good point, better than you could ever say it in your own words, then you're going to want to use that information and just give credit to that author. It's going to make your paper stronger and make it more believable. Citing makes it also possible for other researchers to locate your source. So if they want to dig deeper into that topic, they can go to where you found your information and go deeper. Education is not an us versus them. It's about learning how to learn, and that's what we're doing in 8th grade. And you just know this already. Cheating's unethical. It's wrong. It's just wrong. There are real-life consequences. It damages the reputation of two really prominent historians, writers, Stephen Ambrose and Doris Kearns Goodwin. Kearns left the television position and stepped down as a Pulitzer Prize judge for not citing the work of 50 passages for her 1987 book, The Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys. Senator Joseph Biden, who is now running for president, dropped his 1987 campaign for the presidential nomination because he copied in law school and he borrowed from campaign speeches from Robert Kennedy. I think he's learned his lesson by now. Boston Globe journalist Mike Barnicle forced to resign for plagiarism in his columns. And a probe of plagiarism at the University of Virginia. They discovered 45 students and they were dismissed, and 3 graduate degrees were taken away. New York Times senior reporter Jason Blair was forced to resign after being accused of plagiarism and fraud. He lost his job. The newspaper said that at least 36 of the 73 articles he had written had problems with accuracy. They had lies, calling the deception a low point in newspapers' history. So you can see you can lose your job, you can get thrown out of college. There are a lot of consequences. A controversial New Jersey valedictorian was denied her seat as a Harvard freshman. They didn't let her into college when it discovered that she plagiarized in a local newspaper. So she lost her chance to go to Harvard. Is it worth it? What about you here at school? You could possibly get a 0 on the assignment. We got to call your parents and tell them you cheated. If you do it a couple times, you got to go see the principal. You could get suspended or dismissed from sports or extracurricular activities. In college, they'll throw you out if you cheat. It'll go on your student record, and you're going to end up being known as a cheater. So it's going to ruin your reputation. You just don't want to do it. Why is this important? Well, what if your architect cheated his way through math class? Do you think your new home's going to be safe? What if your lawyer paid for a copy of the bar exam to study? Will the contract she wrote for you stand up in court? The accountant who does your taxes hired someone to write his papers and paid a stand-in to take his major test. Does he know enough to complete your tax forms properly? What if your doctor cheated his way through med school? Do you really want him diagnosing you or doing that operation? Same with your dentist. So think about it. It is important. Do you have to cite everything? No, you don't. Facts that are widely known or considered common knowledge do not have to be documented. So, for example, John Adams was our second president. Everybody knows that. You don't have to document that. The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th. Everybody knows that. So that's just common knowledge. If you see a fact in your research in 3 or more sources and you're fairly certain your readers already know it, then you don't have to cite it. But if you're in doubt, it's better to cite than not. You don't need to document when you're discussing your own experiences or observations or you're doing your own research because that's you doing it. What's the big deal if I change a few words? I'm okay, right? No, 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 no. Paraphrasing original ideas without documenting your source is plagiarism too. You can borrow from the works of others in your own work, and it's a good thing. It'll make your work stronger. But there's 3 strategies for doing this, which we're going to go into more deeply later. You can quote someone, you can paraphrase, or you can summarize. Quotation is when you copy the words straight out of the book, straight down with little quote marks around them. And you use this when you want to add the power of an author's words to support your argument. Sometimes somebody's going to say it way better than you ever could. So it's okay to go ahead and use that. Just make sure you quote it and you cite your source. If you want to disagree with an author's argument, you have to put their argument in quotes so that you can disagree with it. Sometimes somebody says something just perfectly. It's eloquent, it's powerful, and you love it, and that's a good time to use a direct quote. When you paraphrase, it means you take whatever the passage is and you put it into your own words. And you can do that a lot. Just make sure that you still cite your source at the end. And it's good to use paraphrasing because it makes it come from your own voice. It sounds like you. When you summarize, it involves putting the main ideas of one or several writers into your own words, including only the main points. They're shorter than the original, and they give kind of an overview of the material. And again, you need to cite your sources. So if you're going to establish a background, like for example, you're going to do this when you write your history papers in your abstract, you're going to summarize the abstract, just put it in your own words. You're going to have to cite that. There's an easy way to keep track as you take notes. You can make sure that you put quote marks around it if that's what you're going to use, or you put your cite source right next to it, or you can mark it with a P for paraphrase. Make sure you include page numbers and source references so you can go back and check. See, we have works cited page right here. We're citing our sources. So Just don't plagiarize. I think your teacher's going to do another activity with you now, and this is here if you need to come back and look at it.